be a race between Jeynick and George. And so immediately we've already actually missed the time, so we could start the timer right now. We're pretty much where we need to be. And you'll also notice that we met our digger incentive. So for Sandy Bay, we are running this beautiful, beautiful digger here for all of the races on Sandy Bay.
That's right. Right now, the game wants our runners to get used to the controls and how to drive. There's keyboard controls, or the game actually has controller support. And now there's a big kerfuffle in town with an unskippable cutscene about Workman Fred bought his new diggers, so he's the fastest racer in Sandy Bay. Um,
Yeah, but no one agrees with him. Everyone's fighting. They're all making fun of Workman Fred. So we're teaching some really good morals here. And we're trying to make him feel better by using our own digger as well.
yeah, whoever heard of a digger winning a race?
Whoever heard. But so before we get into the races, what we're actually going to do is drive up this steep mountain right here, and we're going to do one mini game. So Lego Racers has multiple mini games throughout the game, but we're only going to do this first one, which sort of acts like a taxi service. So this little tornado here, we're just going to drive right into it. And
Normally, you're supposed to drive away from tornadoes, but I guess in this game you want to drive into them.
yes, safety. What is it? Um, and so we're off here. We've got our first passenger. And basically what you need to do is there's the little yellow circles on the map, and you're going to want to drive towards those when you're ready to pick someone up. And once you pick them up, there's a green circle on the map. And then you want to drive towards the green circle. You do that 3 times, you win the mini game.
Someone in chat asked, does language matter for this? I think there are slight differences between languages for the run since the text appears one character at a time. But I don't think that's actually had an impact on anyone's placement before.
Yeah, that's fair. But so the reason that we do this mini game, so this is an any percent run, which essentially means we just need to beat all of the races, starting from a new save file. But the reason we do this mini game at the beginning, so you'll notice in the upper left of each of their screens, there's the little grayed out icons with a 0 next to them. Also, they're both grabbing a golden brick right here, so we'll explain that in just a second. But the grayed out icons are for different different power-up levels to your car. So we do this run, so over here on Jeynick's screen, you'll see him, he's going to select a power-up, and so that makes our car go a little faster overall. We have a slightly higher top speed. And the only reason we do that now, like, we don't do any other mini games because we don't need any other boosts. Jeynick also had a very nice hill dive there. George also had a very nice hill dive. So now we're going over to race Workman Fred, Digger v Digger.
Yeah, but we get the speed power up first because overall it'll save enough time in the run that it's worth the extra time it takes to get it in the first place.
That is true. And you also probably saw each of them grab a golden brick that was just chilling on the side of the mountain. So you'll notice also in the upper left we have a golden brick counter. And every time you win a race, you get a golden brick. And you need a certain number of golden bricks to progress to different worlds in the game. And so we grab that extra golden brick there so that we can go to one of the worlds early. And we'll mention that later on when it comes up in the run.
That's right. You do have to finish every race. There isn't a strict order once you're done with the first world, but overall, it's faster to go slightly out of the game's official order, if you will.
Yeah, just simply because of how you drive across Sandy Bay. So Sandy Bay is basically like our hub overworld. It allows us to go to all of the other worlds from Sandy Bay. So we'll be coming back here after we've finished all our races a few times just to go to the different locations, the different worlds in the game.
So the diggers beat the diggers then.
So whoever heard of a digger winning a race? We did. It was live here, LEGOthon 2025. But we're on to our second race now against Mike the Postman. So we'll see what's faster. The age-old question: is it the digger or is it the mail van? We're gonna find out here.
I guess it also depends on who's piloting it, because I wouldn't, even though we've just proven the digger wins the race, I wouldn't trust Workman Fred's digger to win against Mike the Postman.
That's very true. Clearly, we played them in this order for a reason. But one thing you might see on the screen here in the lower left of both of our players is this little disc icon, and that's our power up, our current power up. And so we have these little like bubbles around the track that you can get power ups from, and we hold the disc. So the disc is similar to like a green shell in Mario Kart. You could fire it forward and backward. It ricochets off of objects, and we can use it to block other power-ups, specifically the homing missile rocket that may hit us at certain points during the race.
That's the rocket that Jeynick just fired. That's basically like a red shell, except it targets a specific player. There are a lot of track obstacles that can interfere with it, though, so I don't expect a player-fired rocket to ever hit any opponent in the run.
Yeah, the rockets can get really confused. Like, we may see them sometimes get, like, stuck on parts of the track, and they're just, like, spinning in a circle, or they're not moving at all. And especially for these early Sandy Bay races, there's only one other opponent, and so we're firing at them, and so the rocket has to travel the entire course at least once to hit our target, which it rarely ever does. So often when we don't get the disc power-up, we'll be just cycling through power-ups until we get either the disc or a few others that we'll mention when they come up.
While Grill was explaining that, Jeynick also used one that looks like a ninja for its icon. That just makes the user invisible. And then while the user is invisible, you can't actually be targeted by a missile power-up. Whoa. Cool town strats found by our newest world record holder. Jay just showed off there.
Yeah, you're able to barely miss going through the houses there. It's pretty tight, and the digger's a little big, although I don't think the front loader actually has hit detection, so it might not actually be that difficult. But yeah, Jay has a slight lead. It's not huge, maybe a couple seconds over George right now, but it's still pretty close in Sandy Bay. All the Sandy Bay tracks are pretty simple. They're just here to, let you understand the mechanics of the game, figure out how everything works, and get used to driving around.
You are required to go through every checkpoint in every race. If you miss one, you can't advance to the next one.
Yeah, we've got this cool green arrow hovering above us constantly, always pointing us in the direction we need to go next. And so if we bypass a checkpoint without going through it, the arrow will just turn around. It'll be pointing behind us, and we'll have to turn around, and it can really cause some issues on certain tracks later on. I guess on any track, really, if you miss a checkpoint, it's bad. But there are certain ones later on that it can really be a run killer, honestly. Nixel, what is your favorite Sandy Bay track?
My favorite track specifically in Sandy Bay might actually be the one we're on right now, which is called Hot Stuff. The tracks all have names, but you don't actually see them in game. Someone in chat just asked, do those benches just not have hitboxes? That's a funny thing. They're supposed to have hitboxes, as you saw after asking. but sometimes you'll just go right through them anyway.
Yeah, we're also playing on the lowest graphical settings, which might have something to do with that. Low graphics, we run low graphics for a few reasons. Occasionally, various scenery won't spawn, which allows us to drive where we normally wouldn't. And then in the later races, there are also fewer CPU opponents that we have to worry about. There's only going to be 3 instead of 5, 7.
7 opponents on the highest graphics settings. I imagine the levels in between have varying numbers as well.
Yeah, that's fair, but we're only going to have 3 because we want as little, RNG as possible. This game is not very RNG heavy, which is fine. Sometimes it's best to just have games that are skill based only and a little randomness. But now, yeah, Jay is on to the 4th race of Sandy Bay. George as well is about to start it up against Police Chief Bobby. This is Bobby's beat. A lot of the Sandy Bay tracks kind of look the same. So this is one of the first overworld racing games. You know, we're like 24 years before Mario Kart World. And so all of the tracks...
Pardon my cut-in.
Yeah.
Jeynick just got one of my favorite power-ups called the Drill. The Drill is just basically a laser. It fires off in a straight line. And... Ooh!
That was a bold strat.
Yeah. What you just saw was that, as you launch the Drill, you can actually ride it. It'll still only go in a straight line, so it's very circumstantial as to when it's useful. But what Jay just used it to do was, normally when you get hit by the missile, you will slow way down and get launched into the air a little bit. Jay just kind of bypassed that by being on the Drill at the time.
Yeah, that was interesting. And so what you've also noticed now that Jay has been hit by an item, by a missile, by the Drill, is that he lost bricks. So the way that your health works in this game is how many bricks you have. It's actually not how many bricks you have on your car. That's just a visual. It doesn't really matter how many bricks you have on your car, but after you've been hit a certain amount of times, your car essentially runs out of bricks, and then you just have to run. You are literally a minifig running across the track. So if you lose too many bricks, that's bad, but luckily around the track, if you notice on the mini-map, there's a little area in yellow near the bottom. That's a pit stop, and driving through that will replenish some of the bricks that you've lost back onto your car.
I actually, during one of the practice sessions, I joined our racers in a race, and in race 1, I ended up running myself. It's a lot slower than driving, but I was near the pit stop at that time, so I managed to get my car back. And due to a shortcut in that race, I barely pulled off the win and was able to keep going with the race.
Yeah, it's pretty much always a run ender if you end up out of your car and you're not anywhere near a pit stop, you're pretty done. So unfortunately for Jay, but fortunately for George, this track has brought them within 1 or 2 seconds of each other. And this is the end of Sandy Bay, so we are about to head to Dino Island. We've got 5 golden bricks, which is more than enough to go to our first new world. So to get to each world around the Sandy Bay map, there are just various hubs. We drive to those, we talk to Sparky, and he'll ask us if we're ready to go.
Each of the LEGO worlds is actually based on a LEGO-themed set of some kind. Sandy Bay is based on town, if I remember correctly, and Dino Island is based on adventure. So if you notice in the loading screen, you'll see a little icon for each world, and most of those it'll match the world we're actually on in name, but for this one it says Adventure instead of Dino Island.
Yeah, but yeah. And so that's probably the actual name. It uses the Adventures Dino Island theme and the Adventures Amazon theme as its various scenery pieces, which is pretty cool. Those were pretty popular at the time of the game's release. Here we are, track 1 of Dino Island.
And here's the infamous bridge.
Yes. Nixel, you want to talk about the bridge?
The community has named it the Wheelbite Bridge because, if you transition between ground and, like, actual Lego pieces, the physics sometimes goes weird with that. And the bridge will just make you spin out randomly sometimes.
Yes, and if you're not familiar with the wheel bite, like I was not, that is a skateboarding term where you turn so hard on your skateboard that, I don't know, something bad happens. Jacket, I see you in the chat. Let them know what a wheel bite is. But yes, Dino Island. We're here. We're cruising through this race. So George now has a slight lead. I saw early on, Jay unfortunately ran into the corner of the checkpoint, which I don't exactly know what those are called. I want to say a cone, but it's not really a cone.
A bollard, perhaps?
Perhaps. That sounds like a word that could be correct. He ran into this one right here and unfortunately lost a few seconds. So just like that, George is in the lead, but we've got quite a bit of racing left, so there's no one's sweating yet. Oh, George is coming up to a tornado, but it luckily disappeared before he got there. So the tornado is not the tornado that is the mini games. You want to drive into that tornado. There is also a power-up that is a tornado or a twister, however you want to call it. And that's really only used by CPUs in lower places. But if you drive near it, you sort of lose all control. You can't really steer. I don't really think you can brake or accelerate for a period of time, and you'll just start to skid out of control. So we try to avoid any tornadoes as much as possible, but sometimes they're in our way.
And that's one of 2 power-ups that you can't actually get if you're in first place. There's also the ultimate power-up, represented by an icon of flying bricks. Only human players can get that power-up, and only when they're not in first place. So we're likely not to see it at all in the run, but it causes an earthquake along the whole track that makes every other racer, even airborne racers, lose half of their max health.
Yeah, it's pretty overpowered, and I get it. Like if you're a new player or just playing the game casually and you're having a tough time and you're not always in first, it's good to set the CPUs back a little bit, put them in their place, and give yourself a little bit of an advantage.
Due to how exactly the game determines what place everyone's in, there was actually one spot in the run where I'd have one chance of actually getting it, even if I was doing okay, before I realized you're supposed to actually skip that part of the run. I'll try to remember to say that when we get to it. It's in the final world.
Fair enough. But here we are, second track, Dino Dodgems, I believe is the name of this one. So notice we're driving. Jeynick is in this lava cave here. We'll have a fun section in the lava cave in 2 of the remaining 3 races after this one that we'll bring up when we get there. For the most part, though, this one is not too bad. A lot of the dyno tracks are a little bit long, so you'll notice we only have 2 laps on this race instead of 3, which is very nice. If every race was 3 laps, this would be a real slog of a run here. because some of the tracks get kind of repetitive over time, but not yet. We're here, we're racing.
The longest race in this game is a 2-lap race later in this world.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. Dino Island is not my favorite world. I don't think it's anyone's favorite world. I would go as far to say that it is my least favorite world in the game. Strictly speaking, for a speed run. Maybe it's a cool world if you just are driving around it casually and doing mini games and collecting golden bricks. But as far as the speed run goes, in my opinion, I'm not a big fan of Dino Island, really.
So the little temples off to the sides that Jeynick is about to pass, those actually have like fully modeled collision, even though a car can't even fit in there. Just a fun little fact, if you lose all your bricks and end up on foot, you can actually climb into the temples.
That's really cool. I didn't know that. Those are full Lego sets as well. Each of the adventure sets had like one big large set. Like I remember the Egypt theme had like a pyramid. That is the big large set for the Amazon Adventures theme. So I always really liked that those were in there because that was a set I always wanted as a kid, but unfortunately didn't have the money to purchase it.
So we're seeing about a 9-second difference between the racers as they enter the second longest race of the run.
Yeah, Dino Island really out here making you drive. This is the Lost Race world, and you can see the mini-map is pretty long, and so luckily it is only a 2-lapper. But pretty soon here we're gonna see my least favorite part of any Dino Island track, the lava spiral.
I actually think it's worse on the other race it appears in, but yeah, the minimap already looks long with it going down one side and back up and then across the top and back. But you see that circle in the middle of it? That's not just one circle, that's like 4 or 5.
Yeah, so you'll see here George is driving up the lava circle, and it is just... You're right, it probably doesn't look bad now, but it is so easy to lose your traction and slide over the side, like the edge of the track, and if you do that, you either fall down into the lava and get respawned, which is like the best case scenario, or you fall down onto a lower level of the track and then just have to continue driving. So luckily they both made it up this first time, but we'll see it again here on the second lap, and then yeah, we'll see that one more time in a later race on Dino Island.
When we get to that later race, I actually have a fun story to share about one time when I was playing this casually.
Good. I also have a rant for that track, so we'll have plenty of time or plenty of stories to fill the entire time of that race, because it is a long one.
Can I jump in with a quick donation here?
Go ahead.
Go right ahead.
We got $20 from Jacket saying, "Let's go Lego Racers 2. I can't wait to see Wheelbite Bridge. Also, is this Demos Derby?" So thank you for that.
Dang, just memeing already. Thank you, Jacket. Very appreciated. No, this is not Demos Derby.
To actually give a serious answer to that question, Demos Derby is the third race of the fourth world. We're in the second world right now.
Yeah, so we will. That means something. We will be getting there later on. But I appreciate the memes nonetheless. So here we are back, Lava Spiral round 2. Looking good so far. Hopefully, both runners can maintain their traction. Looks like George has made it to the top, and so has Jay. So Jay has definitely caught up a little bit here. I think he is only about 5 seconds behind now. I think he was 9 seconds behind earlier in this race. I think it shows you how long the race really is. You can make up that much time in a single race. There's George, and then about 3-4 seconds later, there's Jay. So
yep, Jay finished that race 6 seconds faster. The timers at the top right of each screen actually make it very easy to tell how far apart the racers are.
yes, that definitely helps. So one thing I guess we failed to mention on Sandy Bay, and that you may notice now, is at the start, each racer is doing sort of a wheelie, and that is a start boost. So the red lights that count you down, there's like 3 red lights and then a green light. If you start holding accelerate on the last red light, you will have a start boost when the light turns green. It's nothing crazy, but it's something that the CPUs can't get, or don't get, I guess. And it gives us a little bit of an early advantage to start the race.
That hit that Jeynick just took looked a lot worse than it actually is, because it was a really big brick that fell off. Each brick actually counts equally towards health. Including the car base itself, there are up to 20 bricks you can put on a car. You have to have at least one, so on the most fully built car, there's 20 health indicators. On the least fully built car, there's 2. But you have the same actual amount of health regardless. I think that was already said. So, like, it takes 10 times as long for a 2-brick car to look damaged as it does for a 20-brick car.
Yeah, again, the bricks are all visual. Your health is being monitored by the game underneath the hood. And I would just like to say, Jay has about a half-second lead right now. So he's brought it back hard in these last 2 races. We've got an equal race going into lap 2 here of the 4th Dino Island track. Cretaceous Canyon. Great name. But luckily we don't have to deal with the lava spiral on this track. But it is, I agree, Nick, still much worse on the final track of Dino Island. Simply because you are going down instead of going up. So technically, you're speeding up as you go down it, and that can cause a lot of issues.
Yeah, and early falls are even worse too.
That's true. Yeah, if you fall off early from like a high point to a low point and you don't land in the lava, I suppose you could then just drive into the lava to get respawned.
That's generally what I try to do.
Yeah. So, but either way, you're losing a lot of time, and it's bad. And you want it to not be. You want to not do that. You don't want to lose time in a speed run. That's bad. Wow, we are very even here. I think George now has a slight lead, maybe another half second, but this is pretty tight.
Looks more like 1.5 seconds. The water does not actually have any physics, by the way. Ooh, there's a twister on the left on George's screen. Had to take a slightly longer route to avoid it.
Dodged it though. But yes, you're right. The water does not have any detection. It's not slowing you down or speeding you up in any way. It's just visual.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it would be cool if there was some other, mechanic.
Yeah, advantage to going outside the water, coming up, and inside the water on the next race. It looks like there's about 1.5 seconds between them again.
Yeah, it's very close though. Going into the boss of Dino Island, Sam Sanister. So let me, if you will, rant briefly. So,
can I ask you to hold that rant until after the spiral?
Why, yes, that's actually a great idea. We will spiral, and then I will spiral personally into a deep rant, and then and then you have a story as well, I believe.
Right, to be told in the spiral.
Okay, go for it.
There was one time I was doing this race. I was in second place, so I actually got the tornado power-up. I used it right there at the top of the spiral, and it actually knocked Sam Sanister down exactly 1 level. And the AI of the game did not clock that they missed a checkpoint. They just clocked where they were on the track. and he just kept driving, and I ended up a lap ahead of him. I never actually passed him, but because he had missed one checkpoint, he was a lap behind.
That's pretty good. That's a really good way to beat the boss. As someone who was playing this, I did a couple runs myself this week. I lost to Sam twice in one run, and it feels really bad. Because again, like we mentioned before, this is the longest race. This is like a 5-minute race. If you come in under 5 minutes, that's very good. It can be, yeah, it's long, it's rough. You want to be ahead. The other thing that Sam does, all the bosses have some sort of gimmick, and so Sam will drop like oil slicks behind his car periodically when he's driving. But luckily, we're usually always ahead. Jay really is ahead. I don't know what happened to Sam on his screen, but he is. I guess George also has a sizable lead over Sam. But if you're ever behind him, you need to be aware and avoid the oil slicks. But what I was going to say before, so this guy's name is Sam Sanister, right? And for the astute viewers out there who either have played LEGO Racers 1 or were just a fan of the adventurers themes in the late 90s and early 2000s, know that his real name...
Or just watch the next run coming up.
Or just watch the next one, yes, or just watch the next one coming up. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. His name is 100% Baron von Baron. Not Sam Sanister with an A. Not to be confused with Sam Sinister, who is a character also in LEGO Racers 1, who was renamed to Sly Boots, both in this game and in Football Mania, or Soccer Mania, if you're a Western Hemisphere guy like me. I just don't know why they did that. It makes me very upset, and it really shouldn't. I shouldn't be this mad, but I am. And so I just needed to get all of that out there, so that everyone knows I care way too much about this boss. But we're back in the lava spiral, going down. I think everything is gonna be fine for both of our runners here. Jay has made it out. George has basically made it to the bottom. Sam is nowhere to be found. So we are looking
on
pretty
Jay's
good.
screen is just entering the lava spiral.
Yeah, so we're looking really good here. Like something horribly bad would happen. Like we need a game crash really to lose this race, I'd say, which I don't think happens very often. I don't think I've ever crashed this game.
A game crash would absolutely be a run killer because the game doesn't even save automatically. So
there's no. That's right.
All progress would be lost.
That would be really bad.
Even losing a race is bad because you actually do have to win every single race in order to complete the game. So losing any race means you lose however long that race took.
That's very true.
That happened to Jeynick in one of the practice races.
Oh yes, that happened to me when I was doing some runs this week, and it feels bad. That would just be you would end your run there and start a new one.
And like I said, it somehow did not happen to me in the practice race when I got blown up out of my car.
Sometimes the LEGO gods shine on you, and all is well. But we are... Jay is almost done here. We're getting very close to the finish line. George is a little bit more behind, but still in a good spot to finish this race off here. And this will conclude our time on Dino Island. There's Jay, sub 5.
Sub 5.
Really good. Really, really good. George is going to be close. Just over 5.
Not quite. 2.5 minutes and almost... 2.5 minutes almost exactly on both laps.
Yes, consistency. And so then to leave the world, you'll see George here. You just drive back into this Sandy Bay area. You have to talk to Sparky. You can't skip that because you need to click yes. And so here's where the route diverges.
I have hit escape so many times.
It's just reactionary. But here you'll notice on both of their screens, the arrow wants them to go more to the right. And we're going to say, no, we're going to the Arctic. And this is the reason we grabbed that golden brick early on in the in the run, and you need 9 bricks to go to the Arctic. You would only have 8 coming out of Dino Island. And so we needed to pick up an extra brick somewhere along the way, so we could go to Arctic early. And again, there's not really a reason other than it's closer to drive to the Arctic than to drive to Mars and then to the Arctic and then back to the final world. So Jay just did a nice hill hop. He sort of just cut off some of the track, boosted over the hill, had a pretty good landing, avoided the airplane. And also avoided the arrows that point you where to go. So that's
and you may have
not
noticed
trivial.
George did not do that, and the position indicator briefly showed that George was not in first place. The best race to see the position indicator, Jeynick, is one of the, I think, the final race on Zalax, but there are other places where you can see it as well.
Yeah, the game kind of doesn't do a great job at, yeah. Basically at the start of the track, everyone has the same number of checkpoints completed, and so if there's like I don't know, it just depends, like there's a curve at the start, so it thinks that you're behind when you're not, and...
Yeah, it's just, whoever has completed the most checkpoints, but the tie in that is broken by, whoever's physically closest as the crow flies to the center of the next checkpoint.
Fair enough, there you go. So Jay successfully dodged the side of the ship again. George here going right through there. That's skinny. That's not easy to get through. It's very easy to clip either side of the arrow signs, and then that will either launch you into the water, which will respawn you, or you'll get stuck on the other side of the barriers going up the hill, which is also bad. But both runners 2 for 2. This is only a 2-lap track. It's over pretty quickly. I feel like this one could be 3 laps, but I'm not going to complain. This game is long enough as it is.
And if you watch, Jay just did this, but if you watch George's screen, I think you're about to see a cool shortcut. This is the race that I ended up without my car on in practice, and that's the shortcut that saved my run.
Yeah, you kind of just drive through the little village there, and you can go through the finish line backwards, because it doesn't matter what direction you go through a checkpoint, you just have to go through it. But here we are, both on Arctic 2, which I'm sure also has a name. Yes, Ice Canyons. So we got this nice little snow effect. It's not really too distracting. If you're playing this not on the low graphics, the snow is a lot thicker. It's very dense and is actually a lot harder to see. Jay almost skidded into a hole in the ice there, lost a few seconds, but was able to maintain kind of where George is going through now. But overall, this track isn't too bad. Another 3-lapper, which means it can't be that long if we're doing 3 laps.
Right. With Jeynick having about a 9-second lead again at the moment.
Yeah, we're keeping it close here. There's plenty of time for a lot of things to go horribly wrong. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but
Pardon the interruption. On Jeynick's screen, you just saw my favorite use for the disc, and everyone's favorite use for the disc, which is that if the missile power-up hits anything, it explodes. Even if that anything is another power-up such as the disc, which you can launch backwards.
Yeah, so that's why we want to hold on to the disc. We can fire it backwards into an incoming rocket, and that will prevent it from hitting us, which is always good. George is getting a little closer here. We're getting close. I was going to mention the brick boost because I saw Jay had one earlier, but I think I will wait until that pops up again.
George just actually lapped one of the CPUs, but then fell into the water and got hit by a tornado.
Oh, that was bad. That was very unfortunate. So George, I think, did the tornado affect him the first time? Is that why he flew into the ice?
I don't know if I saw it. I thought it was actually launched by the CPU that he had lapped.
Oh, that's really unfortunate. So that was unfortunate turn of events for George. He ended up flying into the hole in the ice, and then he respawned into a tornado, which caused him to have no control for a brief period of time, and he wasn't able to start going. So he is about 14 seconds behind now. Which again, we saw Jay come back from 9 seconds. Anything is still possible here. That was just a very unfortunate turn of events for George. This is Arctic 3, slip sliding. So we sort of have our own spiral here, but this ice spiral that Jeynick is on right now is not too bad. You still can slide off the side, and unlike the Dino Island, there's no lava to fall into. But you can kind of just take it a little bit easy going up the spiral. There's this little maze part here. It's not really a maze, but there are just a lot of different directions that you can traverse through that area. As long as you don't take the outer routes, you're probably fine just going through any of the inner routes. There is a route. I don't know if I could tell you what it is because I don't think I know what it is. I just assume that there is a fastest route. But overall, Arctic tracks aren't too bad. I like them. They're pretty chill. They're not as repetitive as like Dino Island and Sandy Bay are, personally. But I think that, I don't know. I think everyone likes Mars the best, but I think Arctic needs some love as well.
Arctic is my favorite world, actually. Mostly for casual play, though.
That's fair. Yeah, I think casually playing this game is also kind of enjoyable. Like, it's really cool just driving around the various worlds. So you can collect extra gold bricks around each of the worlds. There are multiple, I think there's 2 mini games per world that you can do, and they're not all just the taxi game like we played on Sandy Bay.
Right. On Dino Island, you have to collect or I think it's food barrels, so that you can feed the dinosaurs. Oof, slide out on Jeynick's side. And then in the Arctic, you actually have to collect weather balloons before they get blown away by an incoming storm. The weather balloons one actually has a small gimmick. Your car gets lighter for each one you're holding until you just have no mass at all. If you hold all 5, you'll just fly away into the ether. The game actually accounts for that, though. If you have all 5, instead of getting soft blocked, it'll be all, oh no, you're flying away, I guess we have to drop the balloons, and it'll just drop all of them right where you're standing.
That's rough. But Jay, over here onto Arctic 4. Chill Thrill. George also into the race now, we'll see. I think he made up some time. Maybe a little bit, maybe a second or two on Jay in the last race. So we'll see how this shakes out. But this is the final Arctic track before the Arctic boss.
Coming up on Jay's screen is a pile of 10 boxes. Those boxes do not have physics until they are actually touched. If you drive through the pile of boxes but you don't hit all of them, they don't hit each other either, so the top one can just stay floating there. When I'm running this game, I love to try to do that, even though it's probably slightly slower. And I try to get what I call the box glitch. Yikes! That was a bad wheel bite on George's side.
Dang, George just getting hit with all the unluckiness here in the Arctic. It was looking good, but sometimes the ground will just eat your wheel, and then you're having a bad time. But again, this snow isn't really too distracting. It's not as dense as it could be if you had the graphics set higher. Jay dodging alright, so over on Jay's screen, up in the upper left, he's got like those different yellow, orange colored bricks. when you lose bricks not due to a power-up, so like you go off a ramp weird and you land and you lose some bricks, you get what's called a brick boost, and that can build up. So you can build up those 5 bricks of brick boost. And
Sorry,
so Jay actually had the
was
box.
successful on George's side, not George's, Jeynick's side.
I saw that. There was just a floating box. That was pretty cool. But so when you have the brick boost, that is sort of like an increase to your top speed. So Jay just used it there when he flew off the bridge there. Kind of spun out a little bit, but it worked out. And so that's basically just a temporary increase to your top speed. We try, like, we don't use it often because we don't have it often. It's really just when you lose some bricks. But over on Jay's side, we're on to Berg, the Arctic boss. And it's very low poly Berg because we're playing on the lowest graphical settings, so he doesn't really have like his ice layer skin on there.
The Berg actually cheats. You see him going when the countdown's still at 1.5, or was it 2.5?
Yeah, Berg is running early, but we easily bypass him early. You'll see George here. He's going to go through this checkpoint and then just turn. There's a little shortcut here because the next checkpoint isn't until right there. So you don't actually have to go where the track wants you to go. You just cut through there, and then you are ahead of Berg, which is good because he drops little stalagmites of ice on the ground. And if you hit that, it's kind of just like a hazard, you know. It's bad. So getting ahead of him is always the best. And if you've ever played LEGO Rock Raiders, or if you ever have had any of the LEGO Rock Raiders sets, Berg is essentially just an ice monster. From those games, those sets. Overall, not a bad race. Another 2-lapper, but again, it's really not that long of a race.
Did you mention that the Berg cannot deal with power-ups at all?
Yeah, I didn't, but you're right. So, contrary to Sam in Dino Island, which is just a regular character driving a car who can pick up power-ups, Berg cannot. So, both, he can't pick them up, but he also cannot be affected by them.
Any racer that does not have a car cannot pick up or be affected by power-ups. Also, we're about to see Jeynick here use new strats, again, found by our most recent record holder this year.
Yeah, so
going around the ice lake instead of through it.
Yeah, so that's just like a shorter route overall, but also you are avoiding a lot of hazards in the ice that you could fall into. So George is not opting for that. He's going the normal route, which isn't horrible. It's slightly more dangerous and just a little bit longer. But over on Jay's side,
racers are used to, so.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Our
Jay's
record holder
back.
is in chat and saying that they don't think it was them that actually found it.
Well, hey, you gotta be honest, so I appreciate that. Either way, it is a little bit faster, but overall, not too crazy to not take that route. But now we actually are headed to Mars. We're following the arrow, like we should. And we're headed into space. The Mars sets are really cool. I was a big fan of the Life on Mars sets when they were coming out. I thought that they were really neat. I like the Arctic sets too. I didn't mention those at all while we were in the Arctic, but Arctic was nice as well. But I think Mars overall, of the available sets in this game, I would choose Mars over I think anything else.
Gotta be careful on that race to not hit the tornado there.
Yeah.
Because you can enter a bonus game from a race when you're in adventure mode. Yikes!
Jay, that was a horrible respawn as well.
That was a really bad wheel bite on Jay's side, and he didn't even have wheels to bite.
No, there's no wheels, but he's still getting bit. That was unfortunate. I mean, that's good for George. Give him a little bit of a, closer race here. Jay is spinning out, riding the walls, going all over the place. So the road in this game, Someone asked yesterday when we were doing some practice runs if there is ice physics in the Arctic, and Jeynick replied, "There's ice physics in this game." And
Everywhere.
Everywhere. The road is very, very slippery, just all the time, everywhere in the game. That's just how it works. So you have to be prepared to like brake, slow down if you need to, because if you start skidding out of control, you're gonna have a bad time. But yes, so this is not Deimos Derby. I know that was brought up before. This is the Phobos anomaly. First track of Mars. Nothing too wild. There's really just the part that Jay is in right now. There are two directions that you can go. You have like a fork in the road. On this one, you want to go left because it's slightly shorter route. But you enter this area in other tracks where you come from the other direction, and you want to go right. So you just have to like be aware of what track you're on. You can reference the mini map if you need to know what direction to go when you get to it. But overall, this is a pretty calm first track. Where George is right now, there are multiple routes to take. But if you just go straight through it, like he just did, that's the optimal route. Nothing too wild about it. Yeah, right on Jay's screen, there's that tornado that Nixel mentioned. If you enter the minigame in a race, you're pretty cooked.
You lose the progress you had on that race.
Yes.
And you have to exit the minigame and go back.
Yeah, it's really bad. We'll see that area again because we do that jump at least one other time.
Yeah, in the final race of the world.
Yeah, and so
also
Sorry.
Mars is the only race world where all races are 3 laps.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very cool. So they're very evenly made races, which is cool. I will say George is definitely making up a lot of time on this race. I think he's only about 4 or 5 seconds behind now, maybe 6. We'll see here. We're almost at the end of the race, and we can check. Yeah.
That's more like 3. Wow.
Yeah, George made up a lot of time on that track.
Yeah, there was an 18-second difference before the race, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate race for Jay. We saw the wheel bite early into the lava. That was a big time loss. Yeah, we'll get a better gauge here. George is less than 3 seconds behind. This is insane. We are almost an hour into this run, and we are within 3 seconds of one another. I'll take it. I'll take it.
We love a good close race.
We do. We do love a good close race. So this is this is called Red Run. This is second track of Mars. So there is where George and Jay are now. There's a waterfall that you can technically drive through, although there are some hazardous rocks in the way. I'm still not convinced it's faster to go around, but I know I'm wrong. I just like driving through the waterfall.
You do have to go through the waterfall at least once in 100% because one of those field golden bricks is sitting in it.
That's true. Maybe I should start running 100% just so I can drive through the waterfall one time. I think George got hit by a
I think
rock.
if you go through it once, then clearing the rocks away might make it faster to go through it the other 2 laps of that race.
See, that's what I'm saying. I feel like, I don't know what happened to Jay. He hit something. This is gonna bring George even. We are even right now.
Oh my god, that is so even.
We are
hit the checkpoints
essentially
at the same time.
Yeah, we are essentially synced up completely right now. This is crazy. This is great. I'm having a good time. I hope you all are having a good time as well. I feel bad for Jay that happened. But, that's just part of the run. Sometimes you just get out of control and you're driving into a wall and you're like, how did I get here? But this is very even now. Halfway through race 2 of Mars. We have 1 world left after this. We'll discuss that when we get there, but for now, enjoy the nice Martian landscape. I think that the skybox in Mars looks really cool, especially when you're driving up like on the ridge.
It really does.
It looks
And,
really
yeah,
nice.
driving up on the... Oh, there's a missile that's just stuck in place.
Yep. It really struggles with that fork part right there. It doesn't know where to go, and I've seen it stuck like on that arrow there before. It's pretty good. But yeah, I feel like the sky looks like a watercolor painting. It looks like that in most of the game because that's just how it looks. But the Mars, like the color palette, like that looks really nice. That's a nice shot right there. That looks really good. Yeah, all right. George is in the lead. Slightly, very slight lead for George right now. This is getting crazy.
Their best laps, as you can see on the top, are 1/10 of a second apart.
That is crazy. We're almost done with this race here, right around here. All right, George has got about a second to a second and a half lead going into everyone's favorite track, Dimos Derby. This is in fact Dimos Derby. Wow, this is crazy. This is great. I'm having a great time. So the Mars tracks overall are pretty chill. There's not really a whole lot to say about them. If you were curious, so this track, Dimos, and then the first track, the Phobos Anomaly, those are both of Mars's moons, which maybe you did know. I just learned that now reading my note sheet, which is pretty cool. And also, the first track, the Phobos Anomaly, is named after a map from Doom, which I think we discovered yesterday, which is also pretty cool. Doom probably was influenced on the creators of this game, I would imagine, if that's what they're going for.
Like,
it does.
It's a it's a game they probably liked, with the name of Martian Moon. So it makes sense for them to do that.
I get it. I like it. I like the influence. Yep, so George still has a slight lead here. We take this left route, which is basically the reverse of the route we went through this area on the first track. It is still the fastest route going the other direction. George doing a little jump off that bridge there, a little bit wide. Jay having a better angle at the checkpoint, but it worked out overall. And then we're back in this nice waterfall cave. There is water on Mars. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And then up here, so on our last track, we would go left here up along the ridge. This time we go down into the valley where we have these nice tubes. That is definitely a actual Life on Mars set. That was really cool. Like an air powered, you shoot the aliens through the tubes, they blast out the end. It was really cool. And we're back into, I think these are like walls of gold, I would imagine.
Yeah, this is a gold mine.
Nice.
This is where the golden bricks come from.
That makes sense. The lore is all coming together.
I totally didn't just make that up.
You know what? It's canon now. We've said it. Better put it on Brickpedia. Let them all know. But this track, we're nearing the end. Then we'll have one more.
For half a second, I thought the racer in front of Jeynick was George.
Was George? That would be sick.
Because that's approximately their positions relative to each other.
That would be pretty cool. This game does have multiplayer, but obviously it is not over the internet. So if anyone's out there wants to make a LEGO Racers 2 or LEGO Racers 1 mod where you can play multiplayer online, you know where to find us.
Could I jump in for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to say thanks everybody to watching and donating so far. We've had a great turnout for this event. We really appreciate that, and just a reminder, we do have a bid war coming up on the next run, LEGO Racers 100%. So if you want to get any more donations in on that, you still have a little bit more time before that. And this will be the end of my hosting session here, so Captain Pax will be taking over from here on out.
Hello. Looking forward to seeing the conclusion of this very close race at the moment and the continuation of this LEGO Racers block.
Yeah. So they started this lap about 3 seconds apart again.
Yeah, it's getting George's slight increase on the lead since the start of the race, but it's still very close. So this is Contact. This is the 4th track of Mars. I think this is Jeynick's favorite Mars track. He thinks the minimap looks like a money bag. I see it. I do. I just wanted to point that out. Yeah. And then I also wanted to say, yeah, so after this is a LEGO Racers 1 100% run by Jamie Boy 1989. I will be with you there as well doing commentary. There is a current bid war going on for the character he will be using, which will change during the run should a racer get ahead of another one donation-wise. He will change when he can during the run. Right now, Scooter is absolutely dominating the competition with $40.23 versus everyone else at $0. So if you want to see someone other than Scooter, get your donations in and put them towards the LEGO Racers character incentive.
I think it would be cool if we could get all 4 characters actually in the run, but we'd need, I think, more than $130 in total donations to do that.
You know, I believe it. I put 20 of my dollars towards Scooter. I probably should have started that a little bit lower, just to give the others a chance. But we'll see. I believe. I do think a Scooter run would also be pretty hilarious. But I think it would be cool to get some character change during that run as well. So stay tuned after this if you are a LEGO Racers fan and want to see the game completed as fast as possible. It will be done in just about a half hour from now. But back to our race here. So George is coming up to the end. I mean, Jay is also coming up to the end. This is very close going into our final world of the run here. George coming around the last corner, taking it a little wide, but good. So there's a finish from George. And there is a finish from Jay, maybe 5-6 seconds behind. Just kidding, we have one more race left. I totally forgot we did not do the boss of Mars. Regal, in his large, I forget what the set is called, the walker. Let me see if I can figure out what he's driving in here. So right now you see Jay and George were both sort of being kicked by Regal in his large robot costume here, and that speeds you up going up the hill at the very first part of the run. The danger in doing that is that he can also kick you completely off the track. That definitely happened to me in one of my practice runs this week. Like right there, Jay sort of got kicked into the water, which is really unfortunate. And he's taking the waterfall.
We're taking the waterfall. We're getting an extra golden brick.
So that was bad. But I'm glad we got to see the waterfall, and he got an extra golden brick. That literally does nothing for him. It's just fun to see.
And now both of our racers are on either side of the halfway mark for collecting all 35 golden bricks.
Yes, that is also true. Unfortunately, though, for Jay, so he's not in any danger. Regal running on the wall like a maniac. That was...
Yeah, the mech does not really enjoy the physics of this game. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good. Jeynick is not in any danger of losing this race, by the way. It's more just unfortunate that he had as much of a time loss there at the start as he did, because now he's a fair bit more behind George. But there's still a whole world left. It is kind of a quick world. Zalax is our last world of the run. And the tracks aren't too long. So really, there's not a whole lot of time left for catch-up. But there's still some, like George just almost fell into the lava there. There's a lot of time for the gap here to shorten itself. Still trying to figure out what the actual name of that mech is called. But I can't seem to find it. The internet is failing me, as it often does. But that's okay. Might be called the Recon Mech RP, just with a different color. Or the Planet Protector. But anyway.
Wikipedia says it's the Red Planet Protector.
Nice, there we go. Jay going crazy, having to slam on the brake there to not end up in the lava. He took that hill in an interesting way. But again, so you can see on the mini map, George has a sizable lead over Regal. Jay has a good enough lead over Regal as well. Regal doesn't really ever catch up to us once we're in the lead. So once we've maintained enough of a lead over a period of time, as long as nothing catastrophically bad happens, we are pretty good to go. That is how most of the bosses work. Once you get ahead, you're pretty set.
Mind if I jump in with a quick donation?
In a second, please. You may notice as our characters are coming around the corner and to the final bridge that some of the bars are actually missing from it because the mech actually has collision with those. So sometimes he'll just take them out as he's trying to get through the bridge. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, fantastic. Well, you'll know this donation anyway, Nixel. It is $10 from Nixel, saying,
What?
I want to see all the characters for the LEGO Racers 1 run. Put this donation towards Turbocharger. That means Turbocharger has $10 in the character bid war. Scooter's still ahead with $40, and the other two, Robo Racer and Joan of Cart, still with 0. But we have plenty of time to change that, so get those donations in.
Yes, thank you, Paxo. Thank you, Nixel, for your $10 to Turbocharger in hopes that we see a character other than Scooter. But back over here, George, heading to Zalex, the planet that Rocket Racer decided to take over when he was busy being sad about losing his title in LEGO Racers 1. So these tracks are all pretty... they're not bad. And I don't know if anyone had these characters or these sets when you were younger, but you're racing against these like little, I don't even know what to call them. They're not like full minifigures. They're like, the cars would like crash together and they would get yeeted out of their cars. And
I actually did have this is the only set from LEGO Racers 2 that I had as a kid.
Yeah, I had a lot of these too because they were very cheap. They were just like a single car, and like the minifig that isn't a minifig would get would like come with it. There were very few actual like sets. It's kind of like Bionicle. You know, you collected like the figures. This was similar to that, where you just collect the cars and the characters. George kind of skidding out of control. Nothing crazy. So one thing we should mention on this track is that there's this gigantic loop, right? That's this track? There is a loop on this track.
Yes, this and another track.
And you can completely skip it. There's a checkpoint right at the beginning of the loop, and there's a checkpoint near the end of the loop. But so right here on George's screen, he's just going to drive up behind the loop and then hit the checkpoint right here, because there is no checkpoint in the loop. So on both of the tracks, this is the easier loop skip. On the other track, it's a little bit harder to get to skip it initially, and then you have to do sort of like a turnaround to get the checkpoint after the loop. But there's nothing in the loop to make sure that you're actually going that way.
I didn't actually think the loop skip on the other track was faster because of that turnaround, but it turns out it very much is.
Yeah, the loop is very big. You spend a lot of time in it. I mean, I definitely see how the other skip could lose some time or not be as worth it, but I think the loop is so large that it's just, you got to do it. So Jay has made up some time here. We are a lot closer than we were coming out of Mars. So I feel like I missed something happening to George potentially, but
Yeah,
we are
12-second difference starting this race, but only 5-second difference starting the final lap.
Yeah, that was about a 5-second difference there. So we're back to 5 seconds in the final world. We have 4 races left total.
And here's the first 4-lap race of the game.
Yes, and it's not even that short of a track. Playing this yesterday, I felt like this could be a 3-lapper.
It absolutely could.
But we're here for the Zalax. We're here for these tracks. This one has it. Sorry, go ahead, Nixel.
A bit of trivia, by the way. The inhabitants of this world are called Ramas, R-A-M-A. And I just thought that was kind of neat.
That's an interesting name. So here you see Jay going up this large half pipe type track.
That's what
basically.
we called it, yeah.
Yeah, it's very easy to fall off of that, and that's bad. So there is a checkpoint at, you have to take that one. It's not like the loop. You have to take it because there's a checkpoint at the very top. But if you're going too fast or too slow, once you get to the peak, you sort of will just fall down, fall off the track. You end up kind of not really in a good spot, and then you just have to drive your way back to the other checkpoint. So as long as you don't miss the checkpoint at the top, it could be worse, but it's still bad if you fall off.
I think at the loops and that... Okay, chat says it's actually a quarter pipe.
Alright, you guys, just calm down with the, calm down with all of that.
I think the loops and the quarter pipe actually have their own gravity, so if you come to a complete stop, you won't just fall off. But if you lose traction, like if you bump the edges of the quarter pipe track, then you'll fall off. Or if you get hit by a power-up or something.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. See, LEGO Racers 2 was really ahead of its time. It was out here doing anti-gravity well before Mario Kart 8. We're just really, paving the way for all of the future racing games here. But yeah, so we're both on lap 4. I think it's still roughly a 3 to 5 second lead for George.
Looks like it from the lap timers.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. So as long as nothing bad happens to either of our runners here last time up the quarter pipe, thank you. I get what you're saying, because it is only one side. It's not.
Yeah, it's
not
one quarter of a circle.
Yeah.
And I don't think we saw any fall-offs from the quarter pipe.
No, that was good. That was good. So we're moving on into the third Zalax track, which is wheeled, and we'll have our other loop skip here.
Yep. So I mentioned earlier about the ultimate power-up and how placement jank dictates that you just saw George and Jeynick's in fourth right now, and because of placement jank with the power-ups at the very top of the loop, you'll be, if you're in the lead when you're on the loop, you'll be in last place, quote-unquote, according to what the game sees. So if you were to actually take that loop on the first lap, you'd have a chance of getting the not first place power-ups. So before, when I thought the loop was faster than trying to skip it, there were very, very rare times that I'd see the earthquake power-up in my runs.
Yeah, and it doesn't really make a ton of a difference on this race. Like the CPUs are never going to catch up to you, but it is interesting that you can get a fourth place item while you're in first, clearly.
Also, the tube, you'll see it again one more time, but the tube has power-ups across the top because it also has its own gravity on the inside. So you can just do a sort of aileron roll around it as you try to get to the other side.
Yeah, they really want you to do the cool strats, but it's definitely not safe.
Not safe, not faster.
not safe. Yeah, there's no benefit to it at all. And then you may have also noticed earlier on the first track and on this track, there's a ramp right there. And there was a ramp on a different... Oh, George has a tornado coming up. but it is going to go away just in time. But we want to avoid all ramps. Any time spent in the air is bad. You want to be on the ground pretty much all the time, as much as you possibly can be.
There are actually a couple races where I use the drill power-up to go down a hill, because if you don't, you're going to just get air coming over the crest. But now we're in the shortest race of the game, even though it is 4 laps. It is the other 4-lap course of this game. But, like, half of the lap is over in the time I said that on George's screen. Ooh.
George just got hit by an errant, I think that was a disc, even.
Oh, that might have been a disc, yeah.
Coming from the other way, yeah. So this is...
And that's a lap. 23 seconds.
That's quick. This is called Smash and Bash, for obvious reasons, but we also like to call it Baby Park. It is slightly more chaotic than Mario Kart's Baby Park because the track crosses over itself. You have to be aware of racers coming from the other direction that will hit you.
We haven't mentioned it, but there is a little Sparky hint at the start of each course outside Sandy Bay, besides the boss courses. And the little hint for this one is that the biggest thing to watch out for on this track, besides the power-ups, of course, is the other racers.
Yes, and that is very true. As you just saw there on Jay's screen, all 3 were driving right in front of him. So they can really mess up your day if you run into them going through this intersection point here. George is a little out of control, but he made it work, and he's coming to the end here. And Jay is very close behind. We have 1 track left, and it is not completely free.
Fittingly, it is called the Grand Finale.
Boom, and it is with our former LEGO Racers 1 champion, Rocket Racer. And it is just this big circle. You see the mini-map there. It's a big old circle with various walls and ramps. And you never want to use the ramps.
Yep. Way faster to just avoid all the ramps.
So, pending any, like, horribleness on George's side, I guess I'm not going to say anything. This is the last race. Time will be at the end of this race for both of our runners.
As the racer crosses the finish line on lap 3, assuming they are in the lead. But maybe the position indicator, if it's a really close race with Rocket Racer, maybe the position indicator won't even say they're in first. I've actually had that happen in a run I once did, where I was trying to avoid using items and power-ups, so I barely won the race. The position indicator was not actually saying first place for those races, as I neared the finish line on the final lap, the position indicator said I was in second place, because this is really wide track, and the checkpoint spans the entire width of the track. And you'll see as we get around the corner to the finish line that you can cut the corner and really be far off to the left. I was far off to the left. Rocket Racer was slightly behind me, but also smack in the middle of the track. So he was closer to the center of the finish line. That's why earlier I said it's closest to the center of the checkpoint. He was closer to the center of the finish line at the moment I finished. But you only have to cross anywhere on the finish line for it to actually count, so I did win the race.
So, Jay is actually like 1 second behind. But George is going to take it home here. This is time for George and time for Jeynick, and I don't want to speak too soon because we started the timer, I think, 10 seconds late. They might have both just PB'd. George for sure just PB'd. Like, that wasn't even close. And I think even with the time discrepancy at the start, I think Jeynick also achieved a PB.
I think you're right. I'm looking at the speedrun leaderboards right now, and Jeynick's time is 1:18:57.
That was insane.
George, it says 1:19:29 because I haven't actually approved the PB that he got during practice, but submitted as 1:19:26. So that is absolutely a PB. Congrats to both of the runners on the PB.
Yeah, very huge. That was a great race. Within a second, really, at the end there, maybe two. But a double PB is really amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. Congrats to both the runners for that, and thank you to Grill and Nixel for some great commentary on that. Do you have any last shout-outs you want to do before we move on?
If
Shout
you
out
like,
to the runners.
yeah, for sure.
Of course.
That was great. Sorry, Nixel, go ahead.
You can find them at twitch.tv/Jeynick, and I think it's twitch.tv/GeorgeMHall1.
Yep.
I'd like to add, I'm never gonna pick the floating car again on Mars.
Oh no.
I also can't believe that Burke cheated. I don't know if you guys can believe that. It's pretty wild. And
How
definitely
dare.
stick around for LEGO Racers 1 after this. Pretty hype run performed by Jamie. It's gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. Yeah, I was gonna say, big hype to all the runners, to Nixel for commentating with me, to everyone
Grill
out there.
for commentating with me.
Yes, thank you. Stick around if you like LEGO Racers. Jamie is gonna do an amazing 100% run. I will be back on comms in a few minutes, but I think.
Yeah, and thank you to LEGOthon for having me, and for having LEGO Racers 2. Absolutely my favorite LEGO game out there.
Yep, fantastic. And yeah, with that, we'll cut to a quick break, and then we will be back with LEGO Racers by Jamie, so don't go anywhere.